So what we've been hearing tonight is really an increase in aerial activity over the skies of Tehran. There's been a lot of outgoing anti-aircraft fire seemingly coming from Iranian anti-aircraft guns. We've seen in the skies the sort of burst of those munitions exploding in the skies. It's unclear what the air defense forces here are firing at, whether or not there's drones or planes or something else that they're trying to intercept. We're also hearing quite a few thuds that seem to be coming from the ground, or could also be from that outgoing anti-aircraft fire, or even from outgoing anti-aircraft missiles. But it is definitely something that we're noticing. There's a lot of noise tonight over Tehran. It's unclear whether or not that means that there's a big attack going on, but if we listen, we can hear the fire coming out. So you can see those are the things that we've been hearing. Those are the things that we've been seeing as this evening has been progressing. There certainly is a lot going on in the skies over Tehran. Fred Pleitgen, CNN, Tehran.
Well, a key report by the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, has fueled arguments on both sides of this fight about how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon. Now, last week, you may remember, the Board of Governors of the IAEA declared Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations, saying that Iran had uranium enriched to 60% purity, which is shy of the weapons grade level of 90% purity, and enough of it to potentially make 9 nuclear bombs. Now, the IAEA criticized Iran's what they call general lack of cooperation. The agency also says it was not able to verify that there's been no diversion of nuclear material required to be safeguarded, and it couldn't provide assurances that Iran's nuclear regime is exclusively peaceful. Now, after the IAEA reported that, Iran vowed it would ramp up its nuclear activities by launching a new uranium enrichment center and installing advanced centrifuges. But just hours later, Israel attacked. Now, before air, I spoke to the IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi about his agency's report.
Well, I think, thanks for raising this point, because it's a very delicate one, because a report on the nuclear verification in Iran could hardly be a basis for any military action. Military action, from whomever it comes, is a political decision that has nothing to do with what we are saying. And by the way, what we said in this report was essentially not new. We have been, for quite a long time already, indicating that we were not getting from Iran the replies and responses and clarifications that we were needing in terms of a number of nuclear activities throughout the country. In that report, I also said that at this point, we do not have any indication that there is a systematic program in Iran to manufacture, to produce a nuclear weapon. So, we are objective. We say, as a court of auditors, inspectors, we reflect what we can determine and verify on the different issues and cases.
Do you have a sense of how long it might take for them, given what you know about their capabilities, for them to weaponize what they do have, even with a crude device or a very crude delivery system?
Well, it depends. And again, here one has to discriminate, Anderson. One has to look at the material on the one hand, which is the enriched uranium, and there has been a lot of speculation in the press and in other, outlets here and there about this. One thing is to have the material to put in a warhead, and a very different one is to have everything else that, as you can imagine, goes inside a warhead to make it work. And we do not have any evidence that this is ongoing in Iran. It is true that in the past, in the early 2000s, there had been some activities which were assessed at that time as related to nuclear weapon design and nuclear weapon development. So that has happened in the past. We are not seeing this now. Saying how long it would take for them, it would be pure speculation, because we do not know whether there was somebody, secretly pursuing these activities. We haven't seen that, and we have to say it. Just as we are saying, and I repeat again, just as we are saying that Iran is not answering all our questions, that they are the only country in the world that is enriching 60% uranium, outside, of course, those who have nuclear weapons.
Just finally, there's a lot of discussion about the U.S. obviously getting involved, using these so-called bunker buster bombs against the facility at Fordo. Just from a scientific standpoint, this is obviously unknown. These weapons have never been used before, certainly not against this facility or a facility like it. From a scientific standpoint, are you concerned about unintended consequences of dropping enormously powerful munitions on this Fordo facility?
I hope this doesn't happen. I'm a diplomat with 40 years of work for peace. So I hope this doesn't happen. I hope that we can go back to a diplomatic solution, because, at the end of the day, of course, physical structures can be destroyed, but you cannot destroy knowledge. You cannot destroy technological advancements being made in a country. So what we continue to believe is important, is to find a way to go back to the diplomatic table. We believe that with a good agreement and with a robust verification, inspection, there's no need to bunker busters or anything like this. Diplomacy is the way forward.
Director General Rafael Grossi, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
President Trump saying he'll make a decision on striking Iran within 2 weeks, and the fighting here continues. Today, despite a week of Israeli airstrikes, Iran showed that it still has enough missiles to cause serious destruction. 4 missiles hit early this morning. A strike in Ramat Gan to our east. Most businesses were closed at the time, and a big apartment tower avoided a direct hit, so no lives were lost there. In the Negev, Beersheva's main hospital sustained heavy damage from a strike. Several dozen people injured, most of those light injuries. For its part, Israeli forces continued targeting nuclear sites inside Iran, hitting the nuclear reactor complex in Arak, southwest of Tehran. The reactor there can make the bomb material plutonium, most famously used in the Fat Man device dropped on Nagasaki. It's also above ground and vulnerable to airstrikes. Other sites, most notably Fordo, not so vulnerable, which is why today's announcement from the White House is so important.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
Well, she was also asked about the as yet unreconciled gap between the president and the U.S. intelligence community on how close Iran is to getting the bomb.
When the president says Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, is he relying on U.S. intelligence or intelligence sharing from an ally to make that assessment?
It is a fact, and the United States government maintains this fact, that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Now, never been closer is interesting. It conveys a certain sense of urgency without giving an explicit time frame. But the president's decision to take as much as 2 weeks more to decide on striking Iran or not certainly suggests that he thinks he's got some breathing room here. And that, in turn, is quite a change from his tone just a few days ago when he cut his trip to the G7 summit short, telling reporters this.
This is big stuff, and I have to be back early for obvious reasons.
Well, that was on Monday, and shortly before, you'll remember, he went on social media warning people in Tehran to flee. In his words, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Tonight, that sense of immediacy has been replaced by something else, something different. And though we don't yet know why or to what end, the words themselves are familiar. Here's the president late last month when asked whether Vladimir Putin was stringing him along on Ukraine.
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon.
2 weeks, within 2 weeks. That was more than 3 weeks ago, and no decision on Russia yet. Now, whether today's 2-week time frame will turn out the same is impossible to know. But again, for both Trump 47 and Trump 45, 2 weeks is both a callback and a go-to.
I will make that decision, I would say, over the next 2 weeks.
I could answer that question better in 2 weeks, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks.
I'll announce it over the next 2 weeks.
You know, in about 2 weeks. It'll be out in about less than 2 weeks, probably. Or maybe in 2 weeks.